We'll call the meeting of the Employee Benefits Review Committee workshop to order at this time. Lisa, if you would, please call it.
If it's okay, I'll have the roll call we did in the previous meeting stand. All members are still present.
Thank you. Then moving on to public comments. Any comments from the public?
No, sir, I do not have anyone signed up.
Okay. This time, it's my pleasure to Tim Winesford, TML presentation on subject. My apologies, Kevin.
Oh, no. We're a team here. You get two for the price of one when you're dealing with the league. So thank you very much. I'm Kevin Krasinski with the Tennessee Municipal League, and this is Tim Langford, of course, also with the league. And we are the representatives of the league's new employee benefits offering. So thank you again for the opportunity to be here before this committee today. By way of a little bit of a background, and then I'll kind of get into more information. So back about probably 4 or 5 years ago now, the league began receiving a lot of interest from our member cities. The league, of course, being the association of the 345 cities in Tennessee, of which Shelbyville is a member of, and actually has a couple of past presidents of the board of directors. So there's a long history of relationship between the league and Shelbyville, and we do appreciate you. But about 4 or 5 years ago, we began receiving a lot of interest from our members about trying to find an alternative method to their current employee benefits offerings. The traditional concerns were applying. Premiums were going up too fast. Premiums were too expensive. Cost sharing, we have to make decisions on how to direct cost sharing to employees. And basically, over time, it was resulting in compromising the benefits that they could offer their employees. So what we did at the league level was went before the board of directors and identified these concerns. And the board said, we'll go forth and see if we can offer a member-owned service. Member-owned being the league owns this, the member cities own this program. You govern, you direct us what to do. This is not unlike any of our other offerings. Like we have public entity partners that provides the property casualty insurance. We have the Tennessee Municipal Bond Fund that does municipal lending. So this was going to be a member-owned service that was solely created to figure out a way to present value to our communities. The task force that was assigned from the board to help us figure out which direction to go directed us to do a few things. Number one, it had to be something that created value, meaning there had to be an opportunity to present something better than what you as you were able to get today. Number two, it couldn't conflict with any of our other offerings. It was supposed to be solely focused on employee benefits, health insurance, and accident in life. And then number three, it would be something that could help keep dues pressure low, generate a little positive revenue so that there was some opportunity to keep dues pressures low for you as members. The result of this multi-year process came back with developing almost a consulting offering. And by what I mean by consulting is what we have tried to do in, let's see, this is kind of an employee booklet that we have, but if you scroll down to the third page, what we have tried to do is create a way to effectively compare your current benefits design to some form of improvement. So, and when I say that, I mean, we understand the struggles that you guys are facing. So what we were trying to do is simply offer a review, a comprehensive review, top to bottom, of your current benefits offering. We work and partner with all major carriers, so we can provide, if someone's happy with Blue Cross Blue Shield or United or Cigna, then you can stay with them. If you're unhappy with those, then we can work to move you to another carrier. The focus generally for our group, though, is on the least amount of disruption. What we found is that employees generally, unless they have very deep-seated concerns or there's a large provider network within your community that's left a carrier, employees are generally happiest with their existing carriers. So you might ask yourself, all right, well, if we're just sticking with what we got, how do we make it better? So what we were able to do is develop, using the league's brand and the league's name, we were able to develop some proprietary products with a number of carriers that could effectively transfer some of the risk. And when I say transfer the risk, I'll get into that a little bit more in a moment. But on the next page, strategy one. So what we have are two strategies. The first one is like I said, modeling your existing group benefit, using our proprietary products to take money from one place, reprogram it in another that will improve your benefit design. So just by way of a simple example, we've only been active since July, and we already have enrolled one person active, and another one is starting when, Tim?
December 1st.
December 1st.
Yeah.
So just based on renewal periods, that's kind of where we are. We have a lot of January 1 renewals, and we're working on at least a dozen right now that are looking at transitioning January 1. But the one that has transitioned over so far to work with our program, what we did after doing a comprehensive review is that we saw that they were putting money into certain products that none of their employees were using. And it provided a very comprehensive and robust benefit for their employees, but it was at a lot of expensive cost. So we were able to take their current carrier and reduce the plan that they were on, reprogram some of that savings by passing it off to our partner, one of our proprietary partners, Zurich of North America, and they were able to accept some of that risk at a much lower cost. So when you hear the word gap coverage, I'm sure some of you have heard this before, you might be familiar with it, but effectively, what it allows us to do is to take your current plan and raise the deductible, and then have a secondary insurance come in and make that up at a lower cost. It's only an effective strategy if it's an effective cost strategy, because to the employee, it's relatively seamless, but it does require them to carry two insurance cards. Now, when it's not effective, there's no reason to do it. But if there's a way, like we did in Monterey, to save 14% on their renewal and reprogram it into this, then it results in a better benefit at a lower cost. So we were able to take a 14% haircut off of their renewal, reprogram it, which allowed them to reduce their deductible from $1,250 down to $500.
Yeah, 1,500, I think.
Yeah, $1,500 down to $500, and it was at a year-over-year reduction in what they were going to spend. So that has been our general focus and strategy on the front end, because a lot of people have very comprehensive and robust benefits, and you don't want to do anything that would compromise that. But in the same respect, if you can figure out a way to deliver that same benefit by moving some of the risk over to another carrier, then we want to take advantage of that. So the other options that we generally look at in group are some form of full or partial self-funding, meaning this is something you probably explored in the past, where you have a health reimbursement account, and you can the city can fund a certain portion of the health reimbursement account to offset the employee's expenses. So we've looked at that. We for cities of your size, because I believe you are 210 city level employees and then 233 between all agencies and retirees, if I got that right. Okay, so someone of your size, there might be an option for level funding. Level funding is taking advantage of fully insurance and combining the advantages of fully insurance with self-insurance. So if you have a good claims year, some of that money can be sent back to you. If you have a positive experience one year, then you might be able to recoup savings. But if you have a very bad negative claims experience year, it doesn't come at the expense of the city's savings account. So, perfect. That's the slide I was going to. Thank you. So the gap, I mentioned that whole gap strategy, and me personally, I'm someone who learns better through numbers and kind of illustrations. So we did want to provide an example of how that gap strategy works within our current product. So if you think about today, a fully insured city has unlimited exposure potentially. But I guess when you think about costs, the cost for a single employee and a single claims experience is unlimited effectively. The way most cities and most employers insure themselves is through a fully insured model where you pick a carrier, that carrier assumes all the risk in exchange for premiums every month. And then there's some established form of cost sharing. So in this example, what we're looking at is $1,500. So the employee pays the first $1,500, and then the carrier picks up the rest of it. In exchange for the premiums that you pay every month. So the split funded with the gap on the far right is what we have tried to do. So what you're doing when you have a single carrier picking up that basically from 1,500 to infinity is they have developed within their actuarial design what premium you have to pay them in exchange for that. And generally what you'll find with carriers is that on the high end, they have to price, for those high claims, they have to price it where they're recouping as much as they can. So when you look at a split funded with a gap, what we can do is we can design it where we'll go to that same carrier and we'll raise it up to the first $7,000 we're picking up, or $8,500 or whatever. So we'll say, all right, we collectively, the employer, are going to pick up the first $7,500 of these claims, and then you, carrier, Blue Cross or whoever, you'll pick up from $7,500 to infinity. So that's not a very advantageous model to you because it leaves a very large potential claims experience for 200 employees at nearly $7,500 a pop. You'd have to self-fund a lot, or ask your employees to pick up a very large portion of that expense. But what we've been able to do is working with this Zurich product is say, all right, well, how about Zurich picks up from 500 to 7,000 or 1,000 to 7,000. And they're willing to do this in exchange for 108 or 100, depending on what deductible you choose, $108 to $180 a month for the employee. So what that does is rather than have that same employee or the city funding $7,500, we can buy that deductible down to 500 or 1,000 for the employee, and then have a secondary insurance for pennies on the dollar pick up that claims gap in between. So that's hence the word gap. What the other cities that we're working with right now have looked at is they establish one level and then allow employees to buy down the deductible. So it's completely up to you. We can present it in 10. Is it 2,500, 1,500?
Yeah, 500, 1,000. I think you can do 1,500.
Yeah,
up to 2,500.
It's very
and it's
complex.
no co-insurance as well.
Yeah. So there's no co-insurance. Your deductible is your out-of-pocket maximum under this. So you don't have a situation where the first 1,500 or the first 750 plus 10% of the next X dollars up to $1,500. So that becomes confusing for the employee. This is flat out. You pay $500, $1,000, $1,500, and then you pay nothing as an employee after that, except for if you pick a copay model, you pay copays because those aren't covered in the deductible.
And if it's 1,000 and you have spouse or family, then you double that. So the 2,000 max out of pocket if it's 1,000 per employee. That makes sense.
But so those have been our most successful strategies. As I mentioned, there's the partial self-funding model, which puts a lot of onus on you. Fully insured model, which means you're paying a carrier a lot. HRAs, which a lot of municipalities have pursued in the recent years, but are kind of drifting away from as that claims experience becomes more unpredictable, less predictable, I guess. And then we have, level funding as well, where, like I said, you can pay a certain amount of premium and be fully insured, but if you have a positive claims experience, you can expect a rebate. But I'll turn it over to Tim now, and he can talk about kind of our process, and also, because we do since we have partnerships with all other carriers, we have a number of voluntary benefits, but kind of our process and what we need to make it all happen. Thank you.
Yeah, I've been working with Lisa, and you did send a census over, so I've already sent that back. It was either this morning or tonight, I don't know, it kind of all flows together, but we're gonna need a little bit more information on the census. And then it's just summary of benefits and claims for the last 2 years. We will take that back to the team, and then we will try to get as firm numbers. We want to have firm numbers, so when we come back, we go, this is your options, but this is also what your premium will be, monthly, annually, and hopefully can even show this is the difference. And well then, if you all decided to go with us, then we would, of course, we got benefit counselors with the service team. They would come out and we would do an enrollment. So pretty standard.
How often will you do enrollment?
So we would generally have annual enrollment for employees, but as Tim was mentioning, our partnership, we have a back office, kind of I'll call them, they're not really our claims administrator. What they are is they're our carrier interface called First Mutual Insurance Group Health. So they would be kind of hands-on with the employees and claims experience. So anytime, and what we have in their office is the ability to check an EOB when it shows up. So whenever an employee gets any kind of service, they'll have an explanation of benefits that'll be delivered, and us as the collective agency group broker, we would have access to that. And what FMIG is doing is they're looking at those EOBs to ensure that, because here's one of the issues that people run into occasionally with GAP products is that some providers don't know how to bill it. They see, okay, well, you have Blue Cross, so I'm going to bill Blue Cross. I don't know what this other one is and why you have this other thing, so I'll just disregard it. So we try to stay proactive on the front end so that the employee isn't hit with a balanced bill. So we'll have FMIG evaluating all the claims experience, and then that way what we can do is be proactive, ensure that the employee isn't coming out of pocket unnecessarily. If they have to pay a copay or anything like that, that they get reimbursed in a timely manner. So usually it's 48 to 72 hours from proof of the employee having laid that out. But then as far as day-to-day stuff, we're at the disposal. Tim and I are kind of, we'll call ourselves the two-man wrecking crew, I guess. Yeah. But so we'll be able to interact with anybody at any time, of course. We're stationed out of Nashville. And FMIG is available at any time to any employees for any kind of claims experience or questions that they might have about that process.
Questions?
That $500 deductible on the split funded with GAP, does that include prescriptions, everything? Once you hit $500, are you done for the year on any kind of medical?
It can be designed that way. So if you put everything into the deductible, then we can put it that way. What a lot of people prefer, employee level, what they prefer are standard copays on prescription drugs, just because most of the time you're spending $6 or $8, so they prefer to have that rather than have everything flow into their deductible at a higher cost. But it can be structured in a way where your prescriptions flow into the deductible.
So do you act like the broker of the insurance doing the enrolling, or say you stay with Blue Cross Blue Shield? Do they still have their rep that comes in and does auto enrolling every month or whatever? Then you guys are handling the deductible side of the equation.
So we would be the broker, and we would be the person responsible for enrollment. We would be, what was your other question at the beginning?
Whether Blue Cross Blue Shield itself is involved.
Yeah, so Blue Cross Blue Shield would still be involved. They'd have an account representative that is directed for you. So you'd still have that person. So we would just work directly with either that person, or we do have a dedicated Blue Cross Blue Shield exec within our program as well. So it just really would depend on who.
And you're estimating, at least for the first city that came in under this, was what, 14% savings is what you said?
Yeah, so they had a renewal of 14.9% increase. Their year over year, their proposed renewal was 14.9% increase. So they engaged us and we got it back down to what they spent last year by using the strategy. So year over year, they had no additional expense, and they were able to improve the benefit by reducing that deductible. What they decided to do was, since they did save that money, they wanted to pay the copays. So they set up a separate copay account where they could pay the copays for the employees. So that's why I said instead of like the full 14.9% savings, they took some of that savings and then reprogrammed it back to the employees to give them copays.
So it sounds like this is highly flexible.
Infinitely flexible.
Right.
And that's kind of the model we sought to adopt, just because I've worked in state and local government for 25 years, starting in the comptroller's office in 2001, working for local governments from 2010 on. And the only thing I've come to understand over that time is that everybody's situation is different. No two cities are the same, despite how they might look population-wise, location, geographic, demographic. Nobody's the same. So you can't have a one-size-fits-all approach when it comes to municipal government, just because your service offerings are different, your accounting is different, the needs of the community are different based on your surrounding communities. So the best way to deliver, in my mind, the best benefit for our Tennessee municipalities was to design something that could be infinitely flexible and malleable. We could adjust it on the fly and help design whatever you needed locally.
I have another question.
I had to step out a minute, so you might have said this, I apologize, but how many cities are currently utilizing your plan?
We have one right now. We had, as of Friday, our second, and then as of today, we'll probably have three I'd say we'll have 3 or 4 by December 1st. And for January 1st, I've got 20 to 22 cities, and we're probably going to end up quoting probably 15, proposing 15.
Y'all just started this year.
Yeah, we rolled it out in July,
July,
right? Yeah, July 1.
What strategies are those cities selected?
So Monterey was the first one, and they selected the GAP product. Let's see, Cross Plains.
Cross Plains is a GAP
is a GAP
product. Yep, they're going to stay with their same insurance company.
What is Louisville?
Louisville, they're with United. They stayed with United with the GAP product.
And then Gates is going to
Gates.
do our other model. So
Right.
we do have another model that doesn't really fit based on the size of Shelbyville. It's called an ICRA. And what that is it's, I won't get too deep in the weeds on this, but basically the city decides an allocation per employee and then allows the employee to shop their insurance. So you wind up having completely customizable insurance. So that's an option for smaller employers.
Did you say Dayton?
We haven't quoted Dayton yet.
I thought you said Dayton.
Gates.
Gates.
Yeah, Gates.
Oh.
So for us, you're still needing some information and everything so we can do kind of comparison with what we have and everything. I think that would be something that we wanted to come back for and to be able to do it, because I like the outside of the box type thinking with this. If you got to carry 2 insurance cards and it saves us 15%, who cares? If you're getting a better benefit when it comes to your deductible, and I'm sure a lot of the employees after $500, if that's what the deductible was, there was no further cost. I like what you guys are saying. I'd like to see the numbers.
Yeah, absolutely.
If we got those numbers back to you, about how long would you need before you could come back and present something?
With your size, I would say 3 would be the minimum. 5 days would be probably how long it would actually take to get the numbers back. Yeah, and to look at everything.
And what is your enrollment like? If we decided to go with you to January 1 enrollment, when would you have to have our information and start enrolling people?
We can get the information this week. We could be out here in 2 or 3 weeks with a proposal. And then we could set up an enrollment if you decided to go that route
In November.
in November. Yep.
And I've got a question going forward, like our new hires and everything, would that be left on administration to do monthly, or do you provide that benefit?
Great question. So I don't know who would be responsible for that internally, but what we have is we would have, of course, a software platform that could embed where it would be a relatively seamless enrollment for new hirees. And then, of course, FMIG being our claims interface and carrier interface, they would always be willing and able to help out if there's a new, any kind of transition or any new enrollee. So that's something that we have.
That's currently live. That software is.
Yeah, and they'll when you first come on board, they'll audit once a month just to make sure.
So it could potentially be done more than once a month. A new employee is wrong.
Oh, new employees, yeah, it would be dependent on your waiting period. So, we could enroll new employees any day of the week generally. So whatever fits into your waiting period is.
So our new full-time employees, they are eligible for benefits the first of the month following the date of hire.
Okay.
So anyone coming on the second of the month through the end of the month, they're due benefits the first of the following. If you come in on the first of the month, they go into effect on the first of the month.
Oh, okay.
That's a fun.
So that's online enrollment. So if they had a question for a human, they would just call a number or something?
If the employee or
The employee.
if the agency coordinator.
That employee, because right now we have somebody that comes in and they can ask questions to a person, but.
Okay. That's certainly a level of service that we can keep. If that's something that you found the employees like, then that's a level of service that we can keep. That, we could have someone come out once a month, for new employees, walk through things once a quarter. We know everybody has jobs to do. We don't like to interfere with the day-to-day functions of a municipality, but, in the same respect, we want to make sure that everyone's happy.
So, to be clear for myself anyway. So if y'all stepped in with the gap and the overseeing of, X, Y, Z parts of the plan, we can, and you said we could stay with Blue Cross Blue Shield, obviously, but can we stay with y'all will be the broker, or we stay with our broker for Blue Cross Blue Shield, y'all work with them? Which way does that work?
So we would become the broker of record. Yeah. And then if there's a specific account executive at Blue Cross level, then we work with them. We have our own dedicated people too, though.
What about dental and vision insurance? Is that all the same line? Go with the same?
Yes, it does. And we also, the Tennessee Municipal League does have their own dental vision plan as well, where it is a better benefit. It's a $3,000 benefit, $2,000 accident, and I think it's probably around $12 more per employee, which is it's the best benefit I've seen out there.
That's dental or?
That's dental, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Vision is just a VSP add-on to our Renaissance dental plan. But I think they use the Delta Dental Network. So it can go up to $3,000 annual max, which, that was another thing that we looked at, looking across cities. Generally, a lot of employers had either $1,000, $1,250, or some even $1,500 annual. But some of the complaints that I'd heard over the years is that, it's just not adequate. You got a kid that gets in horse riding accident or a football accident and needs some orthodontia, then, you'll blow through 1,250 pretty quickly. So we found a carrier willing to go up to $3,000 max, plus on top of that, a $2,000 accident benefit. So if it's an accident, child's bucked off a horse or something, then you can have effectively a $5,000 dental benefit out of that.
Do you envision as this continues to grow and you get more municipalities in this gap coverage, do you envision being able to lobby on the side of all municipalities that are currently utilizing certain insurance to keep those premiums from going low? Is that the long-term strategy?
Great question. Yeah, that is the long-term strategy, because there's only so much we can do. One person asked me a similar question when we were out a couple weeks ago, and I said, well, what we're doing right now is we're playing whack-a-mole. Until we can get to economies of scale where we have the critical mass, where we can go forth or go back to the carriers and say, hey, we're bringing this to you. We're going to need these concessions. We're going to need these price reductions. We're going to need this benefit increase. That is the long-range goal. So if we can get to a place where as we keep building this, then we can save everybody more money.
Additional questions, comments?
Will it be like actuary based? So I'm saying it's a TML strategy for this, where, okay, the better the fan and that pool does over time, the better the individual employees that are overseeing it do. But it's kind of driven on I guess the salary goes back depending on the performance of how good you do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So, two parts to that question I noticed. So, the first one, so once we get to that pool, yes, it would be actuarially based, and then we would be able to return dividends. Kind of the same model you guys experience today with public entity partners. But from an individual level today, there would be a way if you went with either a level funded strategy, or if people were willing to submit to medical underwriting, and that would just be reviewing your claims history, then we could get it underwritten at an actuarial level today. So that would be something we could do on a group of your size today. A group of a large size, that is the ultimate goal, yes.
Can you join your plan at any point during the year, or does it have to be January? Is it once a year, or is it any month? Any month?
Any month.
Okay.
Whenever you are looking to transition, I know, at some point in my career, I thought that everybody was January 1 or July 1 renewals. But as we've gone through this, we found October 1.
December.
Yeah. March, we had a March or something, April?
April.
So it really just kind of, and I don't profess to know the rhyme or reason behind everybody's, annual benefit decision. But, we're not really interested in disrupting whatever works for you. I know from an employee level, if there's like a mid-year change, or from a mid-year change, and it could impact your deductible. From a employer level, I don't know how these October 1 and March 1s and April 1s work for budgeting, honestly, because you're not getting renewals until really in the middle of your budget. So that makes it very difficult for budgeting in my mind, just from a personal perspective. But we can make whatever enrollment beginning date you want.
Additional questions? Any questions or comments for the property? Kevin, Tim, any closing comments?
Well, Tim, you want to go with something first?
Yeah, Lisa, thank you for reaching out. And
Sorry
Thank
we
you all
didn't
for-
get all the information to you quicker, but
No, no
it's taken a little
problem.
bit to gather it all, so.
This is a service that the league is providing, so we just appreciate your time, and we hope that everything works out, no matter if it's us or someone else.
Yeah, thank you all so much. We really, really appreciate your time and just the history of the relationship we've had with Shelbyville. So like Tim said, anything that we can do to make your lives easier, then we're gonna do it. And at the end of the day, the worst thing that we can do is give you something and show you that you have the best benefit out there and we can't help you. So that's the worst that we can do.
That's right.
But thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
There being no further business, we declare it adjourned.